Please be seated. The court is now in session. Today the chamber continues to hear testimony on the impact statements of two civil parties, and after the conclusion we begin hearing testimony of a witness through TCW 859 in relation to armed conflict. Mr. Sakalwati, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals to today's proceedings. Grazie, Mr. President. For today's proceedings, all parties to this case are present. Mr. Nunji is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his rights to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. The civil parties who are to testify on the impact statements, namely Ngài Chad and TPL staff Bon Lam Hu are present, and the upcoming civil party to TCCP 1068 is awaiting to be called by the chamber. And after the conclusions of the impact statements by the two civil parties, we have a reserve witness through TCW 859 who confirms that through his best knowledge he has no relationship by blood or by law to any of the two accused, that is Nunji and Kia Sampon, or to any of the civil parties admitted in this case. The witness will take an oath this morning before he appears. Thank you. President, thank you, Mr. Sakalwati. The chamber now decides on the request by Nunji. The chamber has received a waiver from Nunji dated 25th October 2016, which states that due to his health, that is headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his rights to be present at the 25th October 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nunji by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC dated 25th October 2016, which notes that today Nunji has a lower back pain when he sits for long, and recommends that the chamber shall grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nunji his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via an audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nunji can follow. That applies for the whole day. I now hand the floor to the lead lawyer and the assigned lawyer for civil parties to put the questions to this civil party, and your remaining time is 15 minutes. Argentine, thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone in and around the courtroom. My name is Argentine, and I'll continue putting further questions from where I left off yesterday to civil party Ngài Chad. And Madam Ngài Chad, we left off yesterday at the questions where you said you got married, and after that you were sent to live in a cottage. Can you tell the chamber how long did you remain living in that cottage? Answer. I cannot recall how many days I lived in that cottage. However, it was for a few days only. My husband was killed, and I was so afraid. I kept lying there, and I noticed that militiamen were walking nearby, and I was afraid that they would eavesdrop and hear me saying something, or that I did not respect the revolution and would be sent to the upper level. So I was lying there with the other person. Question, allow me to backtrack a little bit. Yesterday, when I asked you about the wedding event and how many couples were there and how many participants and who they were, and whether they were unit chiefs or group chiefs, can you please elaborate on this? And if you can recall their names, also say so. Answer. On the day that I was sent to get married, in that afternoon I was told not to go to work, and that I had to go to the rear battlefield. The thought led me there to Bankna, and I saw about 10 couples. There were men and women, and I could not identify them clearly because it started to get dark already. Question. At what time the wedding started then? Answer. It was organized and started in the evening. Question. Who actually participated in that wedding event? And some people actually had been there before me. I know Pusun who took me there. However, on that day there was an announcement that there were 10 couples who got wed. Question. And who was this Pusun? Answer. He was an organizer or maybe a battlefield committee. He was the one who went back and forth for this arrangement. Question. And during the event, did anyone make a speech? Or was there anyone who stood up and make a commitment? Answer. There was an Angka person whose name I do not know. The person made an announcement that for brothers and uncles and aunties, you are married by Angka, and you had to obey the Angka instructions, and that we were not allowed to protest. Whoever was assigned to us as a husband or wife, then we had to marry that person. Question. What was your observation in relation to relatives of the married couples? Did they participate? Answer. My elder sibling was at Knatatang too, but my sibling did not attend because we were at the various battlefields, and none of my relatives or family members knew that I got married that day, including my mother. It was Onka who made the determination for me to get married. Question: was the wedding organized according to the Khmer tradition? Answer: when I was there, there was no particular setup for that. For a man and a woman who was matched up, then they sat next to each other. Question: do you recall when the wedding took place, or if you cannot do that, can you recall in which season it took place? Answer: I do not know the year. However, the announcement was made that it was in August 1978. That is the announcement that was made. But personally, as I was a 17 April person, I did not know the actual month or year. However, I recall that announcement that it was in August 78. Question: so the wedding took place after they sent your husband to collect corn. So he's been away for a few days, then you were arranged to get married. What was your feeling like at that time? Answer: my body shook, my heart was pumping blood quickly. However, I dare not to weep, and when we were told to make a commitment, I just said what I was told to do. I almost fainted. I had so great pity for my husband. He actually wanted me to go to collect corn together with him. He also wanted the children to go too. And my child cried because my child did not want to go with him and wanted to stay with me. So the unit chief called him to go, and my husband was the first person in that row going away. Question: and what was the reason that you decided not to go along? Answer: at around noon time, after I returned from my battlefield, I was standing alone because my husband actually wants to collect my child from school, and I was asked why I was standing there. Then I was questioned why I came, and I said that I followed my husband, and they asked about my mother, and I said my mother was at a lake. Then I was told that when my husband arrives, then I should not follow him, and I should remain living or staying there. A few days later, when I was with my mother, I wanted to visit him, but I was not allowed. Question: one day the militia group took you to a work site, And can you tell the chamber what happens to you or to your friends? Answer. After my husband was taken away, I was led to a different direction, and there were other women who were there raising pigs, and I was asked to sleep there with my 2 children. I did not yet fall asleep that night. Then suddenly people appeared, and I saw those 4 or 5 militiamen. Some of them were carrying knives. Council interrupts. Allow me to interrupt, Madam Civil Party. My question is that after your husband was taken away, at one point militiamen came to take you. Can you tell the chamber where were you taken to? Answer. I was told that Comrade Jab, you needed to go through a worksite where elder women raised pigs. And there were about 20 people who were walking together with my husband in the other direction. Question. This is my last question. Besides the events that you described, that is when you were separated from your husband, and that you were forced to marry another man without your knowledge, can you tell the chamber the pain or the suffering that you endured? Answer. I endured the pain the most. I told my children that it was a great misery, and it stays inside me. And even at the moment I have a heart problem, because every time when I think of the times that my husband was taken away, I almost stopped breathing. I also have lower back pain. Council, thank you, Mr. President. I conclude my Mr. President, and I conclude my question now. President, thank you. And now I hand the floor to the co-prosecutor. You have 15 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning to all of you. Good morning to all parties. Good morning to Madam Civil Party. I don't have much time and many questions. And a few points to clarify with you. And there's one thing I didn't understand quite well, is after the death of your husband, when you were asked to get married again, did you first refuse to do that or not?
I did not dare to refuse, since I was afraid.
Before the OCIJ, you said in document E3/9790 at answer 82, 10 days after the execution of the Svai Reng people, they've forced me to get married, but I refused. And at answer 92, you said the following. If you wish to speak about rape, I was a victim of a rape once. Since I was refusing to get married, they decided to send me back. And they tried to rape me, but I managed to escape. And you were speaking about a comrade by the name of Reem, a female comrade. So does this refresh your memory? And can you clarify if what you told the investigating judge is correct? That is to say, the day of the wedding, you did not refuse, but you said, however, that you did refuse to get married again.
What I said is that we were sent to prepare a battlefront or battlefield, and the other person was Rim, and there were only the two of us. Then Rim was sent to the other side of a mount hill, and I did not know whether she was actually raped because I could not see. Then a person came to seize me, and I asked for forgiveness because I said that I had a period, and please don't hurt me. And the militiaman did not do anything else.
So did this episode take place just before your marriage with your second husband?
Yes, that happened after I got married.
You said yes, but my question was if this happened before your second marriage. So was it before or afterwards?
It happened after I got married. That's when I was sent to Rumpeg to be a squad leader there. And there were some females from Swiring who were under my management, and there were about 20 of them. And some people who knew one another said that they liked me to be their chief, and I told them about my background, and I said that I was also a 17 April person. But later on, 4 or 5 of them were taken away at a time, and in the end, none was left.
Fine. I'm going to focus on your marriage first. Do you know what your superior decided and the authorities on site, that is say in Bakan district, how did they decide to organize your second marriage so quickly after the execution of your first husband? Why was it important for the authorities to organize this marriage? Why was it important for them not to remain a widow for too long? Why was it important also for your second husband to get married again too?
I was called by Busun to go to get married at Bangkna.
Thank you. During the ceremony, you said that there was a representative of Ankar. Did this representative make you understand that you had to consummate your marriage, or, as they said, to get along, quote-unquote, well with your husband?
President Silpati, please hold on, and Councillor Antakishe, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I object to the way that the question has been phrased. That's his interpretation that getting along well with your husband means consummating the marriage. So I object to the way that this question has been phrased. Answer, but this is something that I heard often, but I will rephrase it. So the authorities who were at the ceremony, who were therefore representing Ankar, did they make you understand that you had to consummate your marriage with your new husband?
I was told to consummate the marriage and that we had to commit to one another and to produce as many children as possible. And how could I do that? Because I was so skinny and I only had a gruel to eat. I did not have any strength inside me. However, I did not dare to say anything. I just kept making commitments, saying the words that I was told to say, or to clap my hands.
And did the Angkar representative tell you why couples had to bear as many children as possible? What was the aim for this?
He said that in order for them to serve Angkar, so that Angkar would have a stock of children, and we ate gruel at that time because in order to have the product for Angkar. And how could we do that? We produce a lot of things, corns and potatoes, but we ourselves never had any cooked rice to eat.
Apart
from your marriage, were there any other marriages at the time when you were in Rumlek Commune and Bakang District?
I did not know if there were other marriages or any other couples who got married, but I only knew that during my wedding there were 10 couples.
Je vous pose cette question parce que
I asked you this question because in document D22/2152.1 English 00546329 there is a summary of your statement which reads as follows in English.
Marriage of young people, and then they were taken to be killed about 20 days after the marriage. End of quote. Est-ce que vous vous souvenez de cela?
Do you recall having said that and having spoken about that?
I knew that my in-law, sibling-in-law, was in the youth unit, and my sibling-in-law was also taken to get married, but I did not know what happened to the person. I told my sibling-in-law to work hard and to refashion oneself in order to survive. But my sibling-in-law was killed.
Je voudrais maintenant revenir à...
I would like us to now talk about your first husband and his family. How old were you when you got married to him, that is Yen? And how long before the arrival of the Khmer Rouge in 1975?
I got married in 1971, and we had 2 children together. Up until 1974, we had 2 children.
You stated that your husband was Khmer Krom and that his family had settled in the region for a very long time. Do you know whether your husband considered himself as a Vietnamese or as a Cambodian, since his family was Khmer Krom and had established in that area for a very long time?
He was a Khmer Krom. I did not know about the biography of my father-in-law, but for my husband, he was born in our native homeland.
Est-ce qu'il avait des documents d'identité?
Did he have Cambodian identification papers or not?
No, he did not have an ID card. He did not have any document with him when he was taken away to be killed. What I knew about him is that he was an ethnic Khmer Kraum.
Alors tous ces Khmer Krom qui avaient été...
Now, regarding all those Khmer Krom who settled there, you said they settled at the cooperative of Cotton.
President, the floor is given to the Defense Counsel for Kilsampon.
Président,
Thank you, Mr. President. I have to intervene again because I see the co-prosecutor is moving towards the issue of the Khmer Krom, and let me remind the Chamber that it is not part of the scope of case 002/02. So I object to this line of questioning. The co-prosecutor continues to ask. The co-prosecutor, if I may respond, it is important for the civil party who lost her husband and in-laws. And my second question is whether the Khmer Rouge, what was the perception of the Khmer Rouge regarding this Khmer Krom group? Were they considered as being close to the Vietnamese or to the Khmers? I believe that this question is therefore very relevant. Marigiro, good morning, everyone. May I make a clarification here? Because I have read the decisions of the Chamber regarding the issue of the Khmer Krom. Prior to the testimony of this civil party, I believe the Chamber was very clear on this subject, and the defense has misinterpreted the decisions of the Chamber if I refer to document E1/262, as well as to document E1/304, in which the Chamber has set out its oral decision stating as follows. It stated on the 12th of February 2015 that the Chamber will have to rule on what can be considered as being part of the group of Vietnamese. That is to say that there are people of Vietnamese nationality or those who are perceived as Vietnamese. So the Chamber indicates that the issue of the Khmer Krom will be relevant in that perspective. And when it's mentioned, when that is decision on the 25th of May 2015 on the issue of the Khmer E1/204, it's stated as follows. The evidence regarding the Khmer Krom may nevertheless be relevant in light of other issues that fall within the scope of this case 002/02, for example, the historic and political context of the case and other alleged crimes that are part of the scope of the trial. And some of the victims would be Khmer Krom. The only issue excluded by the Chamber in this trial is the persecution and the genocide of the Khmer Krom as a distinct group. But as for the rest, the evidence is absolutely admissible and can be heard by the Chamber. So the persecution of the Khmer Krom as a specific group, no. The genocide of the Khmer Krom as a specific group, no. Nevertheless, the Chamber has to hear and can hear testimony on the Khmer Krom. So none of the decisions that you've rendered prevent the witness, nor the civil parties, nor experts to address this issue. That is what we clearly understand from the two oral decisions you rendered on the subject.
Mr. President, if I may respond,
I believe the decision of the Chamber in respect of the targeting of Khmer Krom people is crystal clear. In effect, the civil party lead co-lawyer is making a request to reconsider your decision. There is no need, no new circumstances to do so. So I think the decision is clear and should stay clear. Also for our client, he should know whether he should defend himself against charges of targeting the Khmer Krom. And in addition, I don't understand the argument. As a matter of example, Ieng Sary himself was Khmer Krom. How does the nationality or the fact where someone comes from tie into the accusation of the targeting of the Vietnamese? Because that is what is in the scope. Trying through a back door to get the alleged targeting of the Khmer Krom in the back door of the persecution of the Vietnamese is unwarranted, especially at this late stage of the trial proceedings.
Juste avant peut-être que...
Before my colleague of the defense intervenes, I don't know whether I was not properly translated.
President, I give the floor to Counsel Ong Takuse first.
Yes, Mr. President. Perhaps I should be allowed to complete my objection made a while ago and to cite a point of law that we rely on as the Kyo Sampan team. All the proceedings before this chamber have dealt with recurrent issues regarding the issue of relevance when the issues are not understood as falling within the scope of case 002/02. We are in a civil law jurisdiction, and we are seized with a closing order with specific facts and referrals before this chamber with specific facts, with a severance order which focuses on specific facts. And I must say that from a legal standpoint, we must clinch this issue because it will have an incidence on what we'll have to focus on when we write our closing arguments, what we will be defending ourselves against. So if there are elements that do not fall within the scope of the case and the elements of the crimes that are dealt with in the closing order, this is an issue that is being brought forward on the issue of the Khmer Krom, and it is also valid as regards other issues. And I must say that this is a legal point that is in dispute, extremely in dispute, and we must clinch it in order for us to know what to focus on in our closing arguments. The co-prosecutor, Mr. President, if I may respond, I had not even asked my question, so to object before a question is even asked is not proper. Secondly, the issue is whether from the standpoint of the Khmer Rouge, the Khmer Krom in that district were considered as Vietnamese or not. That is a relevant question, and as such, it should fall under the elements of crimes of genocide against the Vietnamese. And so the point of view of democratic Cambodia is important, and not only from the point of view of the victim. This issue was the subject of your first decision, and I'm only putting one question to the civil party. All I want to know of her is whether she knows how they were viewed from the standpoint of the Khmer Rouge. That is the only question, and I would like you to allow me to ask it.
President, the chamber overruled the objection by the defense counsel. Therefore, the co-prosecution can ask the question, and the civil party, you are instructed to give the answer. And the co-prosecution, your time is expired.
My question, therefore, is as follows.
Civil party, I did not get your question, so please repeat it.
Justement, j'allais poser.
Precisely, that is the question I was going to ask. Now, the Khmer Krom were assembled at Khmer Toton Cooperative, that is your husband's relatives, that's your in-laws. Do you know whether from the standpoint of the Khmer Rouge, whether they were considered as Cambodians or as Vietnamese? How were they perceived of at the time? Furthermore, what were they accused of? What were they suspected of having done at the time?
Mr. President, I object to this question. This is such a wrong question on so many levels. First of all, he's asking to speculate. Secondly, who is the Khmer Rouge? I mean, are we still talking about the Khmer Rouge 9 years after the start of this case? I cannot even begin. This question should really be prohibited.
President, the objection is reasonable. The Deputy Co-Prosecutor, your time is expired. Now I give the floor to the Defense Counsel for Nuon Chea. Lee Savanna. Thank you, Mr. President. And good morning, Your Honors and parties and Madam Civil Party. My name is Lee Savanna, the National Defense Counsel for Nuon Chea. I have some questions to put to you. First, I would like to know about your first marriage. You said that you got married in 1971. How old were you then? Answer: I was 15 years old. Because my mother heard that females would be arrested and she was afraid, therefore she arranged for me to get married soon. Question: was your marriage come out of your parents' decision or your own decisions? Answer: my parents asked me whether I wanted to get married, and we all decided together. Question: did you know your husband before your marriage day? And if you knew him before your marriage day, how many months before it? Answer: I knew him for a long time. Because my elder sister got married to his elder brother. Question: I would like you to clarify on a point that the Deputy Co-Prosecutor asked you, but you did not give a full answer. You said that you did not oppose on the day that you were arranged to get married. But based on your statement in the interviews, in document E3 9790 at answer 93, you said that I went with Comrade Eun, and then you were told that you would be arranged to get married, and that if you oppose, you will be sent to the upper level. So my question to you is that did you oppose when you were told that? Answer: yes, I refused. But I did not dare to protest openly because I was afraid. Although I refused, but I accepted to do it because I was afraid. Question: what was the role of Comrade Ren? Answer: Comrade Ren was the committee of the battlefield. I knew that Ren was the committee of the battlefield. That was what people in my unit referred to that person. Question: how many people with the name Ren in your unit? Answer: I knew only that Comrade Ren. When I was evacuated to Tribunal Toteng, I did not spend long time there, so I knew only that Comrade Ren. Question: you said earlier that Comrade Ren, who involving the incident of a woman who were taken away to be raped, was it the same Ren or different person? Answer: they were two different people. The militiaman was the one who took me but did not tell me where I would be taken to, and I was taken by the militiaman along with my friend Comrade Rim, not Ren. Question: yesterday you said that if you did not agree to get married, you would be sent to work at the upper level. Can you explain what kind of work were you supposed to do at the upper level? Answer: no, I was not sent away yet. That was only what they told me, that if I refused, I would be sent to the upper level. With the case of my husband, we were told that he would be sent to collect corn, but instead he was taken away and killed. Question: to jog your memory, I would like to quote from document E3/9790 at question 95. After you were forced to get married and then you refused, what did they do to you? You answered that you were sent to work at the upper level with Ren. And then question 96, they asked you, where were you sent to work? And your answer: I was sent to work at Prechik. So do you still recall your answers? Answer: I forget some of them. I get older now and I also have a heart disease. And my second husband was also quite old and I was also very busy with my work. We did not pay much attention to each other and I forget a lot now. Question: can you recall now that back at that time you refused and you were sent to work at Prechik? Answer: I went to work at Prechik. I was assigned to do the dry rice farming, and we went into the water and got the bundle of rice seedlings and put them onto the embankment to be used for transplanting. Question: you said that you refused to get married one time. Is that correct? Answer: yes, I refused, but I refused secretly. I did not dare to do it openly because I was afraid. I did not do any open protest. because you know that during the regime, if anyone dared to oppose or refuse, we would be in trouble. Question: in your recorded of interview, you said that you refused, and after you refused, you were sent to work at the upper level, that was at Prechik. So does that refresh your memory, or that you did refuse and then you were sent to work at Prechik? Answer: as I answered already, that because I am often ill, I am forgetful now, I can remember only some aspect of it and forget other aspects. I can recall only about the incident involving my husband who was dragged away from me and my children. During the regime, I was also sick and did not have sufficient food to eat. Question: to refresh your memory, I would like to quote from the same document, that is A3/9790 at question 97. You said that at first I refused, but my friends tried to convince me to get married, and I also thought about my own safety, and for this reason I agreed to get married. So can you recall that you decided to get married because you were convinced by your friends? Answer: yes, my friends persuaded me. They said, "Chad, you should agree to get married because you cannot oppose. If you oppose, there would be problem. You had children, so you should think about their destiny." So I agree. Question: so you decided to get married with your second husband out of the persuasion of your friends, is that correct? Answer: yes, that's correct. Question: what were the names of your friends? Answer: I have many friends. Comrade Rim, Ma, Comrade Pat. Question: which one of your friends who persuaded you to get married? Answer: I did not get your question. Question: I wanted to know which one of your friends who persuaded you to get married. Answer: it was Comrade Rim. Council: thank you, Madam Civil Party. Thank you, Mr. President. I have no more questions. President: thank you. Last, the chamber gives the floor to the Defense Counsel for Khieu Samphan. Kung Samon: thank you, Mr. President. I have one short question related to the time of her second marriage. Yesterday, you said that after 4 or 5 days that your husband had been taken away, you were required to get married again. I want to know whether it's 4 or 5 days after the disappearance of your husband, or it was longer than that. Answer: it was 4 or 5 days after my husband had been taken away. All the Khmer Krom were all collected and taken away. I was still wept at the loss of my husband, and I was required to get married. Question: but in document E3 64-61 at page Khmer. I did not get the old number.
So please repeat the ERN. The translator didn't get it.
Let me confirm again. 00546324. It was in Khmer language. And I tried to find the English ERN and will give later on. And let me quote. After they killed my husband for 20 days, the cooperative forced me to marry a new husband. End of quote, free translation. Can you recall that this is your words that you gave in the document? You said that it was 20 days after the death of your husband. But here in your testimony, you said it was 4 or 5 days. So can you explain about these discrepancies? Answer. At that time, I did not write down. I only gave the estimation. It was not long after he was taken away to be killed that I was required to get married. I did not write down the date. Question. So that means you did not remember clearly about the exact time frame. Is that correct? Answer. I did not recall it clearly because I was sick, and worse than that, I was so exhausted and so overwhelmed with my work. But I can say that it was 4 or 5 days after his disappearance. My husband was taken away in early August, and just some days later I was arranged to get married.
While in your response to Nunji's counsel, you said that you refused it, and at one point your friend tries to encourage you to get married. So it means that there is a gap between the time that you were notified and the times that you decided to get married. Am I correct? And so I cannot recall that clearly. I forgot many things, and my memory does not serve me well. And every time I think about it, my heart is pounding. Counsel, thank you. And Mr. President, I said that I would give the EN number in the foreign languages, but it seems that this document only exists in Khmer language, and I have no further question. President, thank you. And Counsel Andakise, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I only have a few short questions. Good morning, Civil Party. I would like to put to you a question of clarification. You said earlier that at one point during the decay period, you were the leader of a unit. So can you tell us who entrusted you with this position, and who was your direct superior when you were a unit leader?
I was not a unit leader, but I was a squad leader, which means that I control lesser number of people. Because at the time when we were there, then I was assigned to be a squad leader, and since I was a 17 April person, I was not allowed to be a unit leader.
I apologize for my mistake. So therefore, who asked you to be a squad leader? And who was your direct superior?
I do not recall the name, and as I said, my memory does not serve me well. The only thing that I knew that I was assigned to be a squad leader, and I was not sure who actually, I cannot recall actually who assigned me.
My question is, during the DK period, aside from your direct superior and possibly from those who were in charge of your commune, are you aware of who was in charge of your sector, of your district, etc.? Did you have any kind of contact with people aside from the direct local people in charge with whom you were working?
I only knew Pu Mei and Pu Sun, who was the battlefield committee. He was the one who conducted the meetings and who asked us to make commitment and asked us to achieve the work quota. Frequently, I saw these two.
And in order to be clear about this, aside from these two people, you did not know the people in charge of your location at a higher level.
I did not know them that well.
When you use the word Khmer Rouge, whom are you referring to? Are you referring to these two specific people, or are you speaking about other people?
I only saw Pu Sun and Bong Mei, the battlefield committee. As for the small unit leader, it was another person, but there Pu Sun and Bong Mei were the senior leaders in my area, and they went around in the battlefields.
And my last question now. Did you consider your unit leaders or the unit leaders as Khmer Rouge?
I did not know, but what I knew is that they were my unit chiefs. They worked like us as well, although they were the one who gave us instructions.
I have no further questions, Mr. President. Thank you.
President, thank you, Council. And Madam Ngechat, do you wish to make any summary regarding your statement? Civil Party, I'd like to make a few comments. My husband was a Khmer Krom. He did not make any mistake, and he was sent for early fashioning. He tries to achieve his work quota, but somehow he was taken away and killed. I pitied my husband the most. Even last night, when I recalled what happened, it seems that he is still with me. It's like he's with me all the time. It's like he's still living with me. That is all what I want to say. President, thank you. And hearing the impact statement, of the civil party is concluded. And Madam Civil Party, the Chamber is grateful of your testimony, and we wish you all the very best. You may now return to your residence or wherever you wish to go to. And Mr. Bon Lum Ho, the Chamber is grateful of your assistance. And the hearing of the impact statement of this civil party is concluded, and you may be excused as well. The Chamber will take a break now and resume at 25 past 10. The court stands in recess.